We are wrapping up our discussion with Patrick Olson from Carfax, answering your car questions. This person says, if Carfax shows there's been a possible odometer rollback, how accurate is that?
Well, so what Carfax is looking for is we're looking for telltale signs of there was a gradual increase in mileage and all of a sudden there's a number that just doesn't make sense, right? So we will flag that. Then it's really up to the consumer and the seller to sort of get into the weeds on that. You know, there are times when mechanics will fat finger in a number when they're logging your car into the system, and so it happens, but we try to flag those as a way to make sure that consumers aren't being scammed.
Okay. This person says, how long does it take to get an error corrected in my Carfax report? I'm trying to sell my car and the error popped up in my report.
So, you know, unfortunately, errors happen, but if you use the form on Carfax.com, fill it out, we should get back to you within 72 hours, and once we get documentation, it's relatively easy for us to fix those errors.
But documentation is key always.
Yes,
right,
absolutely, for sure.
All right, how do I know if my car has a recall?
So, unfortunately, you know, the way that people are told about recalls is through the mail, and a lot of people miss that. Luckily, there are two places you can go. You can either go to the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, plug in your VIN there, or you can go to carfax.com/recall, plug in either your vehicle identification number or your license plate info, and we will tell you for free if your car has an open recall. And in fact, we can even tell you if the remedy for that is available.
Okay, yeah, because sometimes there's something on recall, but you can't fix it just yet.
Yeah, their automakers often, well, there's a lot. They have to report a problem as quickly as possible, and very often that is before they figured out how to fix it.
And people at home would say that is ridiculous, but that is what the government's requirements are, that they have to say that as soon as possible.
Absolutely. Toyota and GM have been hit with huge fines for not reporting quickly enough. So automakers have an interest in reporting it quickly.
Okay, this person says there are so many companies advertising full car warranties. Is it worth getting a warranty?
So I think yes, but there are precautions, right? So one, make sure you know what's being covered. Read the fine print. Don't go, if someone just says everything's covered, you know, trust but verify, right? Go through the fine print, make sure that, is it just the engine and transmission? Does it include all the electrical systems? Does it include all the safety systems? Does it include the window switch, right? And if it does cover the things you care about, I think they can be valuable. I've bought extended warranties on several used cars I bought for my family members, and for me, in each case, they've paid off. My son once left his sunroof open, and a torrential downpour got a lot of water directly into the transmission, and it ruined the transmission, and a $3,000 expense was covered by the $1,500 I'd paid for the extended warranty. So I think they can work, but make sure you get your ducks in a row.
Okay, for all of us who drive, what are some things that we should be doing that will keep our car running longer and better?
I know it sounds like a drag, but you have a maintenance schedule, right? It's in your owner's manual. You can also get it in the Carfax Car Care app. Follow the maintenance schedule. Get the transmission flush if you need that. Get other work done that needs to be done. Yes, there's an expense to it. It is not cheap and it's not easy, but on the other hand, it's a lot more expensive if your car seizes up somewhere and has no value anymore because the engine is blown. So it's not appealing, but it's necessary work.
Okay, and so that's something that all of us probably have that in our glove compartment somewhere. We
Yes.
may have or may have not ever looked at that.
Right.
That also is kind of like the Bible for like when we have to get like our oil changed and stuff. Not when the person who we went to whatever place tells us that we need to do that.
No, exactly right. In fact, a lot of cars now have synthetic oil that can go 10,000, 12,000 miles between changes. So it's really in your best interest to look at that owner's manual. If you're going every 3,000 or 5,000 miles, you may be paying way too much for oil you don't need to be changing.
Okay, and what about those headlights? Because we get lots of people who say, I've got an older car and the headlights are all like, you know, you can't hardly see.
To be honest, I don't work a lot in headlights, but I would say most mechanics have a way of cleaning them up without having to actually replace them, because replacements are much more expensive.
I think a lot of folks, when they go to the mechanic, they're wondering, is this person telling me the right thing? So what kinds of questions should we ask as the driver and the owner?
Well, so one thing I would do is look at, if you go to Carfax and look at the dealer directory and the service directory, we have hundreds of thousands of reviews from verified people who went there, right? They gave us a record of their visit, and then they rated the place. And so they will tell you, this place is on the up and up, or this place seems a little sketchy to me. And man, I can't tell you how many places that has driven me to and driven me away from other people who I don't know, but you know, they reported their experience.
I mean, word of mouth is a big deal.
Oh, it's huge. And in this day and age, I think more and more dealerships and service bays are waking up to that and realizing they need to provide better service because people talk.
Okay, and so when we're going to go buy a car, we look at the Carfax because we want to see what specifically?
You want to see, was it well maintained, right? Is there a history of, I've got oil changes and I got the transmission fluid changed when I needed to. So you want to see the service history. You want to make sure that it doesn't have a lien on it, for example, right? What you don't want to do is buy a car that has a loan on it and then find your car repossessed. That's happened a few times. You want to make sure that the value that when you're buying a used car isn't weirdly different from what we tell you the value should be, and that's also in that vehicle history report.
Okay, because that's big red flags right
Yeah,
there.
oh, for sure.
Okay, so we want to make sure that you have all of this information when you need it, and maybe you need to share it with a friend or family member who said, oh no, that's not right, but no, we've got the auto expert telling you what's going on. It's going to be in the Two Wants to Know section. We'll be posting that shortly.